Okay, so I'm all fresh right now. I've just taken a small break and it's going to be 4 o'clock in the morning. I can go for a morning walk after this, right? Then once I come back from morning walk, I can take a nap. So one thing we're going to do here right now, I'm going to give you another trick to set up the Dispatcher Servlet, and you do not have to write much code right now. And all these things that we have done, Spring will do it for us. But one thing you have to keep in mind, Spring will do the exact same thing that we have done right here in the behind, right? So you will not going to see these things, but I'm going to show those things to you also. But right now, for now, this particular class implements the web application initializer so that this class is automatically getting picked up by the servlet container or by the Tomcat. So right now what I can do, I can remove the superpower that I've given to this class. I'm going to comment this out. There you go. Implements web application initializer. I have commented these things out. Right now, things will not work. So for an example, right now, if I'm going to go to my server and if I'm going to start my server, you can see my Dispatcher Servlet will not be initialized because I have removed the implementation. I have removed that implements web application initializer from my class. So things will not work for sure. So let's see what is going to happen. So if I'll go to the console, so okay, are you finding anything called my Dispatcher Servlet? Let me copy this and let me do a search right here in the console. I'll go to the top. I'll click here, Control F, Control V, find, and no string found. So my Dispatcher Servlet is not getting initialized because right now I have removed the superpower from this particular class, so it will not be detected. So this particular method won't be called. So my Dispatcher Servlet will not be created and it will not be registered with my servlet context. So if I'll go to my page right now, my Eclipse browser, and if I'll do enter again, you can see 404 not found. So why I have done this thing is I do not want to delete this particular file, and I'm going to show you another approach to create Dispatcher Servlet object, and I'm going to force Spring to create the Dispatcher Servlet object right now. I'm not going to write this much lines of code. So the easiest way to do it, I'm going to create a new class right now, and I will say this LC app initializer. Okay, right now this class is going to extend to another class, right? There's going to be an abstract class, so I'm going to extend to that particular class. Previously, I was extending to an interface called WebApplicationInitializer. Right now, I'm going to extend to a class. So I'm going to click here, superclass, browse, and the class name I do not remember. It's such a big name. And I'm also telling you, do not memorize the class name. You can search it in the Google. You can do also star. I only remember one thing, abstract. And I'll do star. Now I'll search which is the class. Yeah, there you go. This is the class. Abstract annotation config Dispatcher Servlet Initializer. Don't hate me. I have not written this class. Abstract annotation config Dispatcher Servlet Initializer. Okay, I don't care. I'm going to extend this particular class. Okay. So my LC app initializer will extend to this class. I'll do finish, and this particular class has pre-abstract method that we need to provide the implementation. Okay, I'll hit finish here, and there you go. Okay, so right now if you'll have a look on this particular class LC app initializer, this class extends to abstract annotation config Dispatcher Servlet Initializer, and my Eclipse has automatically overridden these three methods right here. So I can assume that all these methods are abstract in the class called this particular class. I don't want to read this particular name because I'm running out of time. So if I can go to this particular class, I can see all these abstract methods right here. Okay, so let me come back right now. I'll just tell you what we need to do right here in order to set up our Dispatcher Servlet. So as you can see right now, it's a pretty simple class. Right now it's saying get servlet mapping. Okay, so that means I need to set up my servlet mapping right now. Let me delete this line right now. Let me hit Command D to delete it. I will add the servlet mapping right here. So this particular methods returning a string array. So I can create a string array here. So let's say string arr equal to, I can initialize this particular array with the mapping. Let's say slash my website. What is the URL pattern I've given? My website.com/start. Okay, that's the URL pattern, and I'm going to return this ARR right here. Okay, and there you go. So right now my work is done. So it's a pretty simple thing, right? This method get servlet mappings telling me that okay, whatever the URL that you want to configure with the dispatcher servlet, just provide those URL right here. So I have created a string array, provide URL pattern. Right now I have one URL pattern. You can give multiple URL pattern right here, and I just simply return the same thing right here. And here get servlet config classes, here actually I have to provide my configuration classes name. So right now I have how many configuration classes? I have only this particular class, love calculator appconfig.java. This is my configuration class. So I'm going to provide this class right here. So I'll come to this particular class called LC app initializer, and here I'm going to return this thing. So I'm going to it returns a class array. Okay, so there is a class called class. I'll write class control space. This is the class and I will write here arr, this is the variable name, equal to I'll provide my class name right here. So my configuration class name is this one, love calculator app config. So I can copy this name. I can go back to my previous class. I'll do control V dot class here, and there you go. Right now I can return this arr to this arr. This is an array, and there you go. Things are working good. So that's it. You don't need to do anything else. I have provided my configuration file name right here in this method called get servlet config classes. You can provide multiple application config files or application config classes. Right now I have only one, so I have put it right here, and also I have configured the mapping here inside get servlet mappings method. Now we can do control save. Control save. This method, what is the work of this? I'll just tell you later. As I said, we're running out of time. This tutorial is getting longer, so let's not get into that. So I'll do control S right now, and right now Spring is going to create the dispatcher servlet object by itself, and it is going to use all these things to set off our dispatcher servlet. So we do not need to worry about anything right now. So what I can do, I can just go to server and let me restart it again. And after that, we are going to, access our JSP page and we'll see everything is working or not. Right now, let's see our dispatcher servlet object is getting created or not, first of all. And you can see that initializing Spring dispatcher servlet. Can you see it? I have already seen that. Console, and there you go. Initializing Spring dispatcher servlet. The servlet name is dispatcher. This is the default name Spring has provided to our dispatcher servlet name. I'll show you how Spring is doing that right now. Understand that Spring is in the behind, Spring is creating the dispatcher servlet object, and we do not have to create it by ourselves. And after that, initializing the servlet dispatcher and completed initialization right here. So right now what I can do, I can go to my browser here and I can access this URL, and boom, things are working fine, right? So how many lines of code you have written? this many, and one line, 2 lines of code. Now you are going to scold me. Then Abhilash, why all this drama? Why you taught us this thing? Another class I've created, right? Why I have taught you this thing? What is the need of this? You could have directly tell me this thing, right? Only 2 lines of code I need to write, and the Dispatcher Servlet object will be created automatically. Okay, but here is a good thing. This class you are extending, right? This class is doing the magic for you, right? And internally, this class, the way this class is working is exactly similar as this. You want to understand how? Let's dig in. Okay, so right now I'm going to close all my files. For now, you understood the flow of the Spring Java-based configuration and how all the things are working. But for now, let me go to the latest class that I've created. This one. This class is just very straightforward and is creating the Dispatcher Servlet for us automatically. Okay, so all this magic happened whenever we are we have extended this abstract class. And previously, the way we are doing it, if I go to this class, we are implementing the WebApplicationInitializer. So I have told you, I have given you a brief introduction that okay, all the time if our class is not implementing that interface, if our class is not implementing the WebApplicationInitializer, then the class will not be automatically detected by the Tomcat. Then you might ask me a question right now, right now that interface is not implemented by this class, then how the things are working? That's a good question. I really appreciate that. So if I'll go into this class, let's see what kind of magic they are doing. Okay, so here I can see a funny thing. This abstract class again extends to this Dispatcher Servlet initializer. Again, this class is written by a Spring Framework developer. Don't worry about it if you are seeing a lot of code for the first time. I'm just telling you how the things are working internally. If you do not understand it also, that's fine. But I trust you, you can really understand this. Just see the specific thing that I'm showing to you. Don't get made like, okay, so many codes. These are craps. We don't care about it. Okay, just listen to me. So if I'll see this class, okay, where from I came, let me go back. Okay, this is my class I have created. This extends to abstract annotation config Dispatcher Servlet initializer. If I'll go to this class, and here's the funny thing, this class again extends to another abstract class, and read the abstract class name, abstract Dispatcher Servlet initializer. Do you get something? Abstract Dispatcher Servlet initializer. That means this is the class name. You can get the meaning of the class, right, by reading the class name. Dispatcher Servlet initializer. This is the class which is creating the Dispatcher Servlet for us, right? You can see in the console whenever we have deployed this, a Dispatcher Servlet has been created named Dispatcher. So probably this class is doing magic for us. If I go into this class, see, default servlet name is Dispatcher. Okay, and where they are doing it? Okay, this particular class is overriding a method called onStartup. Okay. So probably this is the same method we have overridden in our class. So this is the class we have created. Okay, and also we have overridden the onStartup method, correct? Right now, if I'll go back to abstract Dispatcher Servlet initializer, it is also overriding onStartup method. Why it is overriding? It is not implementing the interface WebApplicationInitializer. If I'll go back to my class that I have created at first, you can see we are implementing this interface. so that we are giving the implementation for onStartup, because onStartup is a method inside WebApplicationInitializer. But if I will go here, and again, if I'll go to this particular class, now abstract dispatcher servlet initializer extends to abstract context loader initializer, and if I'll go here, you can see the magic. This class implements the web application context initializer. Okay, now if I'll go to the web application initializer interface, this is the same interface that we have overridden, hours back. This is the same interface we have implements right here. Right now, if I will go here, and if I'll come back, if I'll keep coming back, I will land. You see, so from here I can write LCF initializer extends this class abstract annotation config dispatcher servlet initializer, and this class extend abstract dispatcher servlet initializer, and this class extends abstract context loader initializer, and this class implements web application initializer. I can toss my nose like this, and I also can toss my nose just like this. So things are already been done by Spring Framework developer. They made our life easy. Okay, so internally, our class that I have written here, okay, this class internally implements the web application initializer, and that's why our this particular class will be automatically detected by the servlet container. That's how the magic is happening, because internally the things have been handled by the Spring Framework developer, isn't it? Okay, so right now one more thing that I told you, that how our dispatcher servlet is been created by Spring here. So whenever we basically extends to this particular class, okay, so if I go into this class, I can see this abstract config dispatcher servlet initializer extends to this particular class, and if I'll go here again, it's the abstract class, and abstract dispatcher servlet initializer is actually the class which is helping us to create a dispatcher servlet object, just like here. Okay, the same thing this class is doing. So let's see that how. So if I go to onStartup method, okay, so if I go to onStartup method, basically this method is calling a register dispatcher servlet. Okay, if I'll go here, now see, this method is doing all the magic. Here only all those things are happening that we have done already. Don't get mad, by seeing at the code. If you are seeing it for the first time, just be with me, right? Just listen to what I'm saying. That's it. Now, first of all, see, they are trying to get the servlet name. There is a method called getServletName. If you'll go here, you can see getServletName returns a string, and it returns default servlet name. Probably this should be a string. If I'll click here, I'll go here. Okay, the string name is dispatcher. If I will open my console, okay, initializing the servlet name was dispatcher. So this is the name. This is the dispatcher servlet name. Okay, so this is what gets printed in the console. So we can understand right now, this is the class which is doing all the magic. So let me go back. So I reset the same method, register dispatcher servlet. This method get called with the onStartup method of this particular abstract class, abstract dispatcher servlet initializer. Okay, so let me go to that particular method again by doing a control click. Okay, they are getting the servlet name, and then they're creating the servlet application context. Why they're creating the servlet application context? As I told you previously, this servlet application context, this method, whatever it does, I don't want to get into that, but this method returns the servlet app context object, and you can see it's a web application context object. We were also doing the same thing, right? If I go to our class that we have done, we have also created a web application context object, and this object we are passing to our dispatcher servlet. Whenever we're creating the dispatcher servlet object, At that time, we are using this web application context object that we have created inside our on startup method. If I'll go back to the Spring class that they have written, they have also done the same thing. They have written some method. We are not going to read the code. We are not going to spend so many time by reading their code. But yes, they are also creating the web application context object, right? This is the super class of everything, right? Sorry, this is an interface, and all those classes that we have used for annotation for XML, those are implementing this interface. Okay, now an asser statement, forget this. This is for testing, and we don't want to care about it. Now see here. Now they have created the web application context object right here, and after that they are creating the Dispatcher Servlet object and passing the same object, the web application context object they have created, to our Dispatcher Servlet. Now let's see here. Okay, don't be confused with this. Create Dispatcher Servlet, they have created a method. You can read the method name create Dispatcher Servlet. So this method should create the Dispatcher Servlet object. So if I'll click on this method takes an argument of Servlet application context, which is basically our web application context. So Dispatcher Servlet takes the web application context to get initialized. I'm repeating this statement so many times. So if I'm going to click on this particular method, you can see this method is doing what? Is creating a new Dispatcher Servlet by accepting the web application context as a parameter. You can see web application context, some name. So we're passing in the web application context, and Dispatcher Servlet is going to use that particular reference here, that particular object here, to create a new Dispatcher Servlet. And the same thing we have done here in our class in Love Calculator application initializer class. Also we have done the same thing, right? We have created a Dispatcher Servlet object by passing in the web application context object, right? So let me go back. I just want to make sure that you just have an overall idea that, okay, same thing Spring is also doing. So right now, from where this method gets called, this method gets called from here, register Dispatcher Servlet. So where we are in the line number 85. So to create Dispatcher Servlet, this method is actually creating the Dispatcher Servlet, and they are passing the web application context right here, that object, and they are storing the things with a framework servlet. We have just done Dispatcher Servlet equal to new Dispatcher Servlet. They are doing framework servlet, Dispatcher Servlet equal to new Dispatcher Servlet. Why they're storing the Dispatcher Servlet object in a framework servlet reference? Parent p equal to new child. You have read it in core Java, right? So if I'll go to, okay, let me show you this. If I'll go to the Dispatcher Servlet class, command shift T, Dispatcher Servlet. If I'll go to this class, you can see Dispatcher Servlet extends to framework servlet. So I can write framework servlet equal to new Dispatcher Servlet. So let me go back. Let me see there what they have written in the line number 85. Framework servlet or framework servlet Dispatcher Servlet equal to, this method is doing what? New Dispatcher Servlet, right? Click here, new Dispatcher Servlet. Same thing, nothing to get confused. Let me go back. Okay, so after line number 85, just have a look on the line number 89 here. So what they are doing here with the servlet context object, they are using our servlet method. They are passing in the servlet name. The servlet name, if I'll do command click, the servlet name they're getting here. I told you the servlet name, get servlet name. If I'll click here, default servlet name is dispatcher. So this is a string. So in our case, the servlet name was my Dispatcher Servlet, and we have provided the Dispatcher Servlet object here that we have created in the line number 21. Let me come back. So right now, let me come back to the register Dispatcher Servlet method. So, okay, so in the line number 89, as we can see, they're providing the Dispatcher Servlet name and the Dispatcher Servlet object here. Command click. Here they are creating the Dispatcher Servlet object. They are passing the same object right here, and they're adding it to the servlet context, and they're doing the servlet registration dot dynamic. Okay, and they get the registration object, and after that they are setting off the load and start of value, the add mapping. Okay, the mapping, whatever we are providing in our file, that mapping they're getting right here and setting it with the add mapping, right? The same thing we have also done here in our class. We have also got the servlet registration, the dynamic, this reference right here, and after that we have set the load on startup and add mapping directly right here. So if you go to the abstract dispatcher servlet, this particular method is also doing the same thing that we have done in our class right here. No fancy thing, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. No need to look at all the code right here. I'm just explaining you that Spring is also doing the same thing behind the scene. Nothing to get confused here, right? So let me close all these classes. If you are also not understanding this internal stuff, no worries, but I am sure that you are able to understand even if you are a beginner, because I have pretty much trust on you. You are a pretty nice developer, and that's it. Our thing is done. Okay, so let me give you a final walkthrough. So here we have created, let me collapse everything and let me give you a final walkthrough that what we have done so far. So in SRC main Java, we have a config project and we have a controllers project. Inside the controller project, I have a simple method which returns a JSP page called hello world and is mapped with a URL pattern /test. So if I'll go to my configuration file of my application, this one love calculator fconfig, here you can see I'm doing a component scan of this package com.seleniumexpress.ilc.controllers, which is this package. So my test controller is right here. Okay, so after that I have set off a bin right here called internal resource view resolver. A view resolver I have set right here just to make sure that this bin is there to help the dispatcher servlet to resolve the view. And my view I have created inside the source main web app web.nf view. This folder I've created, and this is my page, right? So this page is going to be dynamically loaded by whenever we'll have a call ending with /test in our URL, right? And that's pretty much it. So my controller file, my dispatcher servlet here I'm configuring, okay, and obviously I have a config file right here. The one last thing that I'm going to do in this particular project is I'm going to run this particular project by deleting the web.xml file. Now, if I'm going to delete the web.xml file right here, if I'll do OK, right now you can see I'm getting an error in our pom.xml file, and right now my project Spring Love Calculator is also giving me an error. And if I'll go to my console here, and if I'll go to problems, you can see web.xml file missing and failOnMissingWeb.xml is set to true. We have to set that property to false. So we have to set this particular property to false inside the pom.xml file. That's the last thing. Let's set that particular property and let's run this application again. Once this is done, we are good to go, and our understanding for the Spring Java-based configuration is completed. Alright guys, so as of now everything in our project works like a charm, right? We right now understand how to set up a dispatcher servlet. We know how to write everything in Java code. But as I said you before, in the SRC web app web.nf, inside this particular folder we have the web.xml file, and right now we are not having anything right here. But as I said, if we are creating a web application, the web.xml file is needed, right? But from Servlet 3.0, as I said, this file is optional, so I can actually delete this particular file. Right now I'm going to show you that how to run your web app without a web.xml. So as you can see right now, I have just deleted the web.xml file and I do not have it right now here inside webinf folder. So as soon as I delete that particular file, you can see there is an error right here in my pom.xml file. So if I go to my pom.xml file right here, you can see in the packaging var, this is giving me a cross mark saying that, hey, you have a web project and how dare you to delete the web.xml file. But why I cannot do it? Because from Servlet 3.0 thing is possible, right? I can actually delete the web.xml file and can deploy my web app inside the Tomcat. Then why my Tomcat is complaining? So if I will go to problem section here, you can see web.xml is missing and failOnMissingWebXml is set to true. So I never said this thing in my pom.xml file. If you see my pom.xml file right here, it's pretty straightforward. I just have couple of dependencies, probably 3 dependencies right here, and that's it, right? And I do not have anything else right here. So where I have set this property, I have not set it anywhere here. So as I said, this pom.xml inherits a lot of properties from the parent pom, and the parent pom here is effective pom. So if I'll go to effective pom here, you can see there is a lot of configuration has been done here, right? And if I want to override this particular configuration, then here inside the pom.xml, I have to override that particular thing or stuff. For an example, right now I'm going to override this property failOnMissingWebXml. This is just saying maven that, okay, if the web.xml file is missing, then do not let the project run, right? So maven is giving us an error. So I'm going to set this property to false in my pom.xml file right here, and as you can see here right now, our JRE system library is still using 1.5 version of Java, but I already have a 1.8 installed in my computer. I think 1.8 is a pretty stable version, and you can also use Java 11, Java 9, whatever you want, but I'm going to use Java 8 right here. So I have 2 objectives right now. I want to run my application without the web.xml file, and the second thing is I'm going to set the Java compiler version to 1.8, Java 1.8. So how to do that? So the things that I'm going to do right here, you can see, first of all, I will come here. So before dependency, I'm going to define my properties right here. And here inside this properties, I'm going to, set, if I'll go to my problem section, I'm going to set this property to false. So what I can do here, I'm going to just copy that particular property name. The property name is failOnMissingWebXml. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do Command V, and there you go, and I'll write false. Command S to save everything. Now you can see that error is gone, right? But right now, if I'm going to do a maven update, let's see what is going to update project, because I've changed my pom.xml file. That's why I'm doing a maven update, and building workspace, it is done. And right now I'm also getting an error right now. Okay, still there is an error. What is the error? I'll go to the problem section right here, and it is saying cannot change the version of the project fact dynamic web module to 3.1. I'm going to tell you that how you can fix this error, but before that I'm going to do one more thing here. This J2SC 1.5, right? This one I want to change to my Java 8. I already told you in my Maven tutorial how to do it, so I can just directly go to internet and copy the compiler plug. I can search right here Java 8 Maven compiler plugin. Yeah, I get the exact thing. I can copy these 2 things, okay, the source and target. I'll do copy this property. I will go back to my STS right here, and inside, come on man, okay, inside here I'm going to do a Control V,
I'll do Control S. So it's building the workspace right now. Still I'm getting an error right here. Okay, I'll do go here, maven and update project, so that my compiler version right here will be changed to Java 1.8, as you can see right now. That's good. The next thing right here is still I'm getting an error right here, and it is saying cannot change the version of the project fact to dynamic web module 3.1. So how to solve this error? So to solve this, what we can do here, I can click here. So most probably you will not get this error after doing all these things, but still if you are getting this same error, what we can do here, right click, I'll go to show in System Explorer. I'm going to go to my love calculator, Spring love calculator directory, this project directory, and I will open the settings, and right here this particular file org.eclipse.wst.com. This particular file, right? You can read it out. Open this particular file. Okay, so right now I will change the version of this. So right now you can see the version of jst.webProperty is 2.3. So I'll change it to 3.1. If I'll go here, if I'll go to the problem section, it wants me to change to 3.1 version, right? So I'll go back to here and I will say 3.1, command S to save this file. I'll go to my STS, I'll go to my project, right click, maven, update project. Let's see right now what is going to happen. And yeah, boom, there is no error right here right now. If I'll go to the problem section also, there is nothing, there are two warning, but right now I can ignore it, right? So what I can do right now, I can actually go to my server. I'm going to I'm going to do a clean. So it is going to clean my server. Where is my server, man? Okay, there you go. And after that, I'm going to clean my Tomcat work directory just to make sure everything that I'm doing is in place. The next thing is I'm going to, okay, let me also right click, add and remove. I'm going to remove this particular project from here for now, just to make sure everything will work in one shot right here. So I'm going to deploy this project right now again in my work, in my Tomcat. So I'll do, first let me do a maven install just to make sure there is no compilation error and my project is building fine. So let's wait for that. Okay, build success. Cool. Now the next thing is I'm going to click here and I'll go for run as, run on server. And I'll do next and finish. And let me see, my project is right now getting deployed. Let me see my Dispatcher Servlet object is getting created or not. Oops, there are still some error here. I don't know what is the error, what is the cause of that particular error. If I'll go to the console, what it is saying right now, failed to start component, web resources, failed to start component. Okay, so my Tomcat is failed to start right here. No worries. So what I can do, I can go here to my project. I can do a clean right now, and I will go to my server again, and I'll do clean, and I'll do OK. I don't know, it's cleaning or not. Why this particular tab is coming again? I mean, this right click stuff, I don't understand that. No problem. Let me try to clean the Tomcat work directory and click on OK. I don't know why this thing is coming. Okay, let me use my computer mouse here. I'll go here. I'll do a right click. I'll do clean here. Okay. Okay, still I'm getting this right clicks. Whenever I do a right click, I should get this window, right? I do not know why I'm getting that. Let me close my STS and let me reopen again. So I will just reopen my STS again, and let's check everything works good or not this time. Okay, so right now let me go to my Tomcat server. Right now let me do a clean, and I'll do OK here. Okay, now it's working. Okay, so the next thing is I can do a clean Tomcat work directory. I'll do OK. Okay, right now I'm going to do a right click here and go to run as, run on server, and I'll click on next, and I want to deploy this particular project here. So let's see what is going to happen. And this time I think everything works good. It will work good for sure, because okay, still we are getting an issue right here. Okay, what is the problem? Maven update project. Okay, let me update the project once again, and it's updating right here. Works good. Right now I can go to my Tomcat again, and I'm going to clean my Tomcat work directory. I'm going to clean the Tomcat as well. Hey, let me remove that love calculator again from here. Remove all, finish. Okay, so I'll do right click, run as. Okay, first let me have a clean install right here. This is also working good. I'll do right click, run as, run on server, next, finish. Let me see this time if it is getting started. Starting servlet engine. Okay, this time I think it will work. Yeah, there we go. Initializing the dispatcher servlet, and it started. You see, sometimes you will get stuck issues like this, right? You just need to do experiment, it will come with your experience, right? So I just did clean install and deploy. So try following the same step, that if you anytime stuck with an issue, right, this process really works. And I know you will get all these things with your experience, right? Even I am learning, right? So no worries, right now things are working fine, as you can see here in the console. So initializing the Spring Dispatcher Servlet, and the dispatcher initialization is completed in 2959 seconds. So my Dispatcher Servlet is ready, and most importantly, I'm using the Java 1.8 version right now. I have overridden my Maven default property, and also if I'll go to source, main, web app, and web.inf, and here you can see I do not have any web.xml file inside my web.inf folder. So I'm running everything, my Dispatcher Servlet and everything has been set up with Java code, and I'm running a web app without web.xml file. That's an important thing that you have to keep in mind right now. So my server has started right now. I'll just put my URL pattern right here, my website.com/ and my controller name is test, and boom, welcome to Selenium Express. Visit seleniumexpress.com for more information. Oh, finally, after 3 days of shooting, I have completed this tutorial. Thank you very much, Avilash, for doing this for me, right? Because I really want to do this for me, for myself, right? And obviously, if few of you will get benefited, I'll be really happy, because you guys are awesome. And whatever the things that I do have right now with me, I want to provide you all those things. So if you have anything new with you, you can provide me that well, right? I'm not an expert. I'm not a teacher, right? I'm just trying to do it for fun. And you can also give me some knowledge if you have. And if you have, I'm really sure that everybody who is watching this tutorial, they are into IT, or they are going to be into IT. And nobody is the master of any language, right? We just need to learn it by ourselves, and everyone will find new things. So we can keep exchanging those things, right? So that we can grow together. and we can help each other to grow together. So that's pretty good. That's what I want to say in this particular tutorial, and hope everything will work good with you. So if you are finding any issues, just let me know by sending me an email to seleniumexpress@gmail.com, or you can ping me in my Facebook page, facebook.com/seleniumexpress. And obviously this tutorial will be available in my website, www.seleniumexpress.com, and you can actually take this course right there in my website in free of cost. And obviously a lot of documents, quiz, assignments will be attached there in my website. So do check out. Right now it's in maintenance. Hopefully it is going to come back soon if I'm going to give time to my website development. So after that, if I obviously work, then you'll get all those things, right? So just do encourage me to work. Just tell me, hey Vilas, why you're not providing me all those stuffs? Where is the PDF of this particular tutorial? Where are the assignments? Where are the quiz? Just do force me to do those things for you, and obviously I'm going to do that for you. Okay, so thank you very much guys for staying with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding, bye bye, and obviously take care. You are the best.